Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending the House Standing Committee on Tourism. Before we call this meeting to order, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of some of the members. Representative Roman Beneventi, Representative Julie Yogo, representing the 1st Senatorial District, Representative Danita Yangtamai, and Representative TJ Maglonia. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And can I get a motion to adopt today's agenda? There's been a motion to adopt today's agenda. It's been seconded. And before we continue, I'd like to call a short recess as we are still waiting for, all in favor say aye. All opposed? And then I'd like to call a short recess as we're still waiting for the Executive Director for CCAC to be present. Short recess, please. Hi, we're back from recess. Ms. Claire, my apologies. Can you please call the roll call so that we can establish quorum?
Representative Danita Kaipat Yangtamai.
Nyanyi.
Representative Patrick H. Sanicolas. Representative Thomas John DOC Manglonia.
Present.
Representative Julie Marie A. Ogo.
Present.
Representative Roman C. Beneventi.
Okay.
Representative Joel C. Camacho. Representative Marissa R. Flores.
Present.
Chairwoman, we have 5 members present.
Thank you, Claire. And with 5 members present, we duly establish a quorum. Short recess. Black. Thank you, members. I know that we had recess. We did establish quorum. We're waiting for Representative TJ Maglonia and Rep. Danita Yangtamai to proceed in. But before we do that, I mean, we can continue to go along on the agenda. So right now, I'd like to, before we went on recess, we were at public comments. And right now in the agenda, we now have, the floor is now open for public comments. If there is anyone in the gallery that will be making public comments, please ensure that it is in line with the said agenda and limited to 5 minutes. Thank you. The floor is open for public comments. Please state your name and your position for the record. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rowena Ogo, and I'm a liaison for more than 20 artists in the CNMI and cultural practitioners. This is not actually a comment, more of a statement, so I humbly suggest that everyone present today, please hear me out carefully as I advocate for all these artists and cultural practitioners. Buenas, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to advocate for my team of artists and for all artists alike. This program has proven far more difficult than it should have been, one that directly impacts cinema artists and cultural practitioners. Let me be clear, I am not here to make friends, throw shade, or engage in personal attacks. I am here because artists deserve answers, transparency, and most importantly, actions regarding grants extended to the cinema artists and cultural practitioners. Let me also acknowledge that everyone present today has their own purpose, and I am sure we all believe that we are doing our jobs to the best of our abilities. However, we must also recognize that there are times when circumstances, pressures, and survival instincts can overshadow our professional responsibilities. Sometimes things happen too late, and sometimes we simply accept the way things are handled and look the other way. We hear beautiful words about supporting the arts, empowering culture, and investing in our creative community. Those words sound wonderful in press releases, speeches, and social media posts. The real question is whether those words are genuine and matched by action. As I learned more about this program, I came to realize the complexity and the importance of ensuring it is administered by individuals who are compliant, responsive, organized, timely, responsible, accountable, compassionate, most especially, and qualified. Most especially administered by people who genuinely care about the arts and promote the program in a way that serves artists with understanding and respect. Unfortunately, many artists have experienced confusion, delays, inconsistent communication, and a lack of urgency. I am here today not only for myself, but also for the artists who entrusted me to help them navigate the Go Smart portal. Many of them are talented creators but are not technology oriented. They did their part, they completed their projects, they fulfilled their obligations, yet still waiting on payment. I was made aware that the delays involved the Miss Northern Marianas Descent projects connected to my applications and domain issues, and that amount owed was approximately $19,992 as of what I'm aware of. That figure is inaccurate. The Miss Northern Marianas Descent projects alone exceeded over $30,000 in completed work. The artists I represent are collectively owed more than $40,000. These are not imaginary numbers. These are real projects completed by real people who invested real time, real labor, and resources. I have documentation demonstrating that I addressed every concern raised by the office. I am not known for missing deadlines or neglecting the issues involving my artists, the artists I represent. The issue regarding my portal access was resolved in March 2026. I have documentation dated March 12, 2026, indicating corrective actions were required by CCAC. And I completed all requested actions by March 15, 2026. I was subsequently informed by Erica that my domain had been approved. All of this occurred in March 2026. Today is June 9, 2026. You do the math. At some point, we have to stop calling something a delay or pending and start calling it what it is, a failure to accountability and unprofessionalism. What is even far more difficult to understand is how projects completed after hours were processed and paid while earlier projects remain unresolved. Artists who fulfilled their responsibilities in good faith and even volunteered additional hours when others failed to show up were left waiting while others moved ahead of them. That raises questions, and those questions deserve answers. Since February 2026, I have made continuous efforts to seek clarification through emails, walk-ins, correspondence with DCCA Secretary Frank Rubaliman, and outreach to government offices. It was heartbreaking when I received an email from DCCA Secretary Rubaliman suggesting that work completed prior to the typhoon should be set aside while they focused on helping others. From a compassionate and community-centered perspective, I believe that this should have been the moment to have hard-earned payments released, especially considering that some artists lost their homes entirely while others sustained damage, significant damages. That email broke my heart and the rest of my artists. After receiving it, I felt there was little to no purpose in continuing to seek efforts from CCAC's office. As a result of that email, I delivered a formal letter to Governor David Apatang and shared concerns with Senator Corina Magofnia and WhatsApp messages to Representative Julie Ogle. No department nor agency is perfect, and delays happen. What disappoints me is the comfortable attitude in the apparent lack of urgency shown toward artists waiting for compensation they had rightfully earned. Today is not about blaming individuals. It is about acknowledging that something is clearly not working and needs attention. My presence here is not driven by anger or personal gain. My concern is not only for myself, a multidisciplinary artist, but for all artists, cultural practitioners, and community members who depend on these programs and deserve clarity, consistency, and fairness. Today is not about revisiting the past of frustrations. It is about finding solutions, improving communication, strengthening processes, exploring options, and ensuring that future artists do not experience the same challenges. My hope is that this hearing will lead to meaningful improvements that restore trust in the program and provide closure for those who have been waiting for answers. A realization that a shift needs to happen and tomorrow will be better than today. Before I conclude my piece, Please do not mistake my boldness for arrogance. I am not better than anyone in this room, nor do I claim to be better at the responsibilities of each of you that you carry at administering this program. Everyone has a reason behind their actions, and everything happens for a reason. I just hope that this hearing is the impact needed for a call to action. I did my part. The artists did their part. The documentation exists. The projects were completed. The only question that remains is, when will the system do its part?
Thank you, Ms. Ogle. And if you do have a written copy, can you please give it to the sergeant? That would be great for legislative record. And the podium is still open for public comments.
Now? Oh. Hello and good morning. My name is Ana Livilla Gomez. I felt like I recently signed under CCAC, but they said I signed up 3 times. So I have learned how it worked, how to get assistance as an artist, and CCAC became a place, and Rowena Ogo became my liaison. So having her work on my information just to get approved for a grant did not go through yet, and I'm not sure why. But I'm here because I am owed money for my work. I have waited since maybe over 2 months now, but I also have not been paid from many years ago, but I think it's because I didn't apply properly. I also don't know. All I know is that now I understand what CCAC is and how to go about it, and I have Rowena helping on that. But my question is, I have done my research on how this works, and to my understanding, we have federal funds go to finance, and then we have DCCA as our umbrella for CCAC. Wait for CCAC to turn in our information to them so that they can run it over and go through the information and then turn in our information to finance so finance can write the check. Okay. Well, the 4 things that I'm concerned about is the problem where we need help with finance. Maybe the second one is DCCA needs help to process the information. Maybe it's CCAC that needs help to process the information, our work information. Or is it really just our money has been allocated somewhere else? I don't know. All I know is that I try to understand what's going on so I don't look at someone personally and be like, hey, you're not doing your job. Because I personally wrote to Mr. Rebalaman in Chamorro because I was frustrated with the typhoon needing some funds. And so I wrote to him in Chamorro. I would say it was nice, but at the same time, it was very blunt that we earned our money, that if anybody was to work anywhere else, they would get paid because they earned it. So why are we treated differently? We earned it. So I'm wondering if the money is even there, because if it's there, then what's the problem? The other thing that I'm wondering here is, why is it that it took me forever to understand where the monies are for the artist? Where's the information for other artists when they ask me, hey, how did you get paid? How did you find out about this? You know, why didn't we know about it? And I'm like, I don't know. I was lucky to hear from this person. And sometimes people say, don't tell anybody. I don't understand that. Isn't it that when you have funds, like this amount of money, for example, for CCAC, isn't it better that we use it up so we can get more? Because if we don't use it up, either it reduces or we are terminated from receiving anything. So this is not about, we don't have enough money, I don't believe. I think we cannot even use it up. For what I've heard, we have so much money, but we don't have enough artists. I don't understand. So for me, there's nothing, it shouldn't be a who knows who and who gets it first. because there's so much money to give away. That's for us. So we need to put that information out there for other artists to, you know, make a living out of being artists and express their thoughts on culture, language, or whatever it is that would make us Marianas. So I don't understand what's the struggle. I mean, where is the money going? Is it because people work are not being pushed at the right time? Do you guys need help? There's people out there that need jobs, you know? Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Villagomez, and the podium is still open for public comments. Being that there's none and no more comments are anticipated, we now close the portion for public comments. Now, we are now moving down to item 4, and there is old business. Being that there is no old business, we move down to item 5, which is Section A, matters regarding outstanding invoices, payments from the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, Commonwealth Council of Arts and Culture. Before we begin and open the floor and start this hearing, I'd like to make a public comment so that we all understand the purpose and the reason why we are here. Good morning. This hearing of the House Committee on Tourism is called to order and has been called to order. Today is Monday, June 9, 2026. I am Representative Marissa Flores, House Floor Leader for Precinct 3 and the Chairman of this committee. The subject of this hearing is the administration of the Commonwealth Council for Arts and Culture, hereinafter CCAC. Specifically, its failure to render timely payments to artists and cultural practitioners who performed at government-sponsored events, including events co-organized with or benefiting the Marianas Visitors Authority. I want to acknowledge at the outset of this hearing reflects a shared concern, one that spans branches and parties. This committee began its work on this matter in March. And today we come together to understand what happened and how we can move forward constructively. On March 23, 2026, this committee issued a formal document directive to CCAC Executive Director Gloriana Tiora, and I'm Ms. Tiora, I apologize if I mangle your last name, under 1 CMC Sections 1308 and 1309, and Article 2, Section 14B of the CNMI Constitution, commanding production of 11 categories of documents by March 30, 2026. Account and fund information, NEA grant records 2021 to present, written policies and SOPs, fee schedules and compensation schedules, artist registry and individual service records, event records, CCAC, DCCA, MVA correspondences, and records of MVA's direct artist use. Geographic inclusion records and compliance with 4 CMC Section 2103 G and H. And CAC Mayor's Office correspondence. We appreciate Director Tiora and Secretary Rabulaman for being here today. But in parallel, this committee reviewed CCAC Artist Registry and built an internal tracking system of its own. And we confirm that there were troubling findings. Those applications reflect the status of pending review and approval, meaning they cleared the approval process on paper, but were never converted into actual disbursements. That gap between approval and disbursements is something today's testimony can help us fully understand. We also confirm that CCAC operates entirely under Executive Order 94-3, Section 308C under DCCA, not by any statute that sets forth payment procedures, timelines, and enforcement mechanisms. More than 20 artists and cultural practitioners are collectively owed in excess of $30,000 for performance rendered at government-sponsored events, some co-organized with MVA under 4 CMC 2103 G and H. Some obligations date to November 2025. Some some wait exceed over 1 year. These artists incur upfront costs, materials, supplies, fuel. The harm is immediate, compounded by post-Typhoon Sinlaku economic stress and rising CUC costs. Director Tura has indicated that she requires additional time because the agency was relocating equipment following a loss of power after Typhoon Sinlaku. This committee understood that disruption, Director, but it still does not explain obligations that predate the typhoon by many months. DCCA Secretary Rabolaman has flagged nearly $1 million in federal funding at risk of lapsing. And as of this week, Director Tura informed Senate Vice President Magofnia via email on June 4 that payments will be dispersed this week, the same week this hearing convenes. This committee genuinely welcomes that development. But today's hearing will also help us fill in the details: who is being paid, how much, and through what process, so the record is complete and the public has full transparency. The non-payment of these artists points to something deeper, a gap written in the framework that governs how CCAC engages and compensates artists. That gap is not one person's fault. It reflects a program that grew without supporting infrastructure that is needed. Under 1 CMC Section 2354, DCCA shall adopt rules and regulations for activities over which it has jurisdiction. That is not a discretionary authority. It is a legal obligation. No artist payment regulations have been promulgated, is what we're trying to find out today. No timelines, fee schedule, documentation requirements, or dispute resolution procedures appear anywhere, unless I am wrong, in the CNMI Administrative Code. When written procedures, published standards, and clear accountability mechanisms are absent, the people working within the system are left to do their best without a map. That is an unfair position to place anyone in. The individuals before us today have been navigating a structure that never gave them the full tools that they needed. And what we're here to examine is not those individuals, it is the structure itself, so we can build something better together. The witness before this committee today are CCAC Executive Director Gloriana Tura and DCCA Secretary Francisco Rabolaman. We have also extended an invitation to affected artists and cultural practitioners, and the committee thanks them for their participation. The MVA has not been called as a witness at this hearing. However, the committee will have pending legislation that speaks directly to the statutory relationship between MVA and CCAC, and MVA's role will be addressed through the legislative record. I want you guys to feel comfortable, be open, and be candid in your responses. This is not an adversarial proceeding. We're here to build an accurate and complete record together, one that helps us understand what happened, identify what needs to change, and develop solutions that work for the artists, the agency, and the people of the CNMI. At this time, I'd like to address Ms. Ogle as she had some opening comments before she would redirect and ask the questions directed to the invitees as she deemed necessary. Representative Ogle, at this time, I'd like to recognize you for your opening statement.
Thank you, Chairwoman Representative Marisa Flores. Good morning, Chairwoman Representative Marisa, members of the House Standing Committee that are present today for the Tourism Committee, legal counsel, representatives of the Commonwealth Council for Arts and Culture, fellow colleagues, members of the public, and most importantly, the artists, cultural practitioners, organizations, and community groups from throughout the Marianas. Before I begin, I would like to thank Chairwoman Flores and the Tourism Committee for hearing this critical concern and providing a forum for transparency and accountability. I also want to thank all the artists and organizations who brought these concerns forward. We heard you. Most especially, I want to thank you for your patience and understanding. This process has taken time because we felt it was important to gather supporting documents, review records, and conduct the necessary fact findings before bringing everyone together to answer these concerns and have a meaningful discussion based on facts. This issue first came up to my attention early last year when 16 local artists from Rhoda informed me that they were still waiting to receive their approved financial awards, some dating back nearly 2 years. As we looked further into the matter, it became clear that this concern extended beyond Rhoda and affected artists and organizations throughout the Commonwealth. It is important to recognize that receiving a national endowment for the arts-funded award is not an easy process. Applicants spend countless hours preparing proposals, budgets, narratives, and supporting documents before undergoing a competitive review and approval process. When those awards are approved, recipients reasonably expect that payments and reimbursements will be processed in a timely manner. While delayed payments are concerning, my greatest concern is the potential impact of future NEA arts funding for the CNMI. If grants are not administered efficiently and funds remain unspent or delayed for extended periods, we risk damaging opportunities for future federal arts funding that many artists, organizations, and communities depend upon. Today's hearing is not about assigning blame. It is about understanding the current status of pending awards, identifying challenges in the process, and finding solutions to ensure that our artists receive the support they have earned while protecting future opportunities for the arts throughout the Marianas, which is Rhoda, Tinian, Saipan, and the Northern Islands. Our artists preserve our culture, tell our stories, and enrich our communities. They deserve answers, and they deserve our support. Thank you, and I look forward to a productive discussion. I am Representative Julie Ogo, representing the beautiful island of Rhoda. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Rep. Ogle, for your opening statement. At this time, we open the floor for this hearing to commence. Rep. Julie, the floor is yours. Thank you. Short recess, please.
You know, right at the outset, I find it very disheartening that the whole process, people who are responsible for the whole process of dishing out this or paying out the artists are not here. Essentially, this is DCCA and CCAC is not the entire process. There's also finance that it should be involved in this, and I don't see them here at all. I don't know whether they were invited. It seems to me that because we're here, it seems to me that we have been accused and found guilty of all these delays. But be that as it may, we're here nonetheless to answer whatever questions you may have. I would also like to just address Congresswoman Ogo's earlier comments that yes, I hear talks about grants being lapsed and grants unspent, but let's not forget this is the same grant that was pulled by the grantor because of mismanagement of the grant. And for so many years, we weren't able to apply for this grant. So as I assumed the office, I was very careful to make sure that we don't find ourselves in that predicament again. So I just want to point that out. Also, like to just say that earlier the comments that were made publicly by again Ms. Ogo with regards to my email back. She had indicated that I pretty much informed her that all that information, all those payments for artists should be set aside because of the emergency that we're in. That was not my entire comment. I said I was going to check, but at this point in time, we're all under emergency, and that's what's taking away a lot of my time and energy, is focusing on, putting out the shelters for the homeless and people who are displaced, making sure that we're hard at work, working on the planning for NAP that was regionally approved, and not to mention all the protection of natural resources. So no, I was not just sitting on my, in my cubicle, thumbing my nails, whatever you call it. We were hard at work, and I know that there's a lot of issues that had to do with the delay of payments for the artists that included efforts to try and organize the council. Upon when I got on board at DCCA, the board wasn't fully organized, and a lot of the applications came to me, and I had to make sure that I reviewed them accordingly, and that's it. There was a lot of go back and forth. A lot of these applications at that time were not complete, and thus therefore I was not about to process them because they were incomplete. And so yes, truly there were a lot of fixes that need to happen. We finally got a working board that now are reviewing these grants. Just FYI, I'm essentially the expenditure authority, although I don't have the review authority of these grants. Anything below 5,000 is approved by the executive director. Anything above 5,000 is approved by the board. And those, once those are reviewed and deemed approved, they get uploaded into the Munis system, and they go through the workflow. And that's why I'm a little concerned that the other agencies that are involved in the process are not here to answer their side of the story. Thank you. I'll turn it over to the executive director.
Rep. Julie, can we just leave it open for their opening comments, and then you can redirect?
Just real quick, just for clarity purposes, if you're referring to me, just a note, Rep. Ogo, because we do have another Ogo in here. And I think in your statement, you're referring to both Ogos. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Executive Director?
Good morning, Chairwoman and members. Good morning, artists. I just wanted to share that I'm also sad that finance is not here because part of the processing payment and part of the holdups and part of the complaints is, like my secretary says, is not entirely on Arts Council. And so we're just gonna answer questions, and thank you, artists, for bringing up the concern, because it's nothing that's been happening like just this year. It's been happening for a while, and hopefully through this meeting we will establish structure and how to go about it to make it better. We have made the first step on our side to ask finance if we could be the one to take the drawdown. So it's now just gonna go to them for signature. But other than that, thank you for having us here, and hope we'll answer your questions.
Thank you, Director. Just for the record, who handles your accounts at finance? Do you have one specific person, or do you have X amount of people handling these processes on your workflow?
So we have two that are at the federal finance,
Okay, and what are their names?
Cynthia Camacho
Okay.
and Agnes Cepeda.
All right, and that's on the Fed side.
That's on the federal
And what
side.
about the local side?
We don't have local funding.
So these are the two individuals that handle how your, or are included in your workflow to expedite payments to the artists. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Short recess. Okay, we're back from recess, and I guess Rep. Ogle, sorry about that. Yeah. So at this time, the floor now is open for questionings, and I would like to acknowledge and recognize Rep. Ogle. Thank you, Rep. Ogle. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairwoman Flores. This questions is directed to the arts coordinator, Gloriana, also known as Sepi. My first question is, what are the CCAC's current account balances, grant balances, obligations, encumbrances, and unexpended funds? Do note that this committee directed production of that complete accounting under item 1 of its March 23rd, 2026 directive. Ms. Gloria, thank you.
So for 2024, total amount awarded was 350,800. I can direct that to Ms. Munya for our, what do you have with you? These are the ones that you had requested that we send you, correct?
That's correct, but we also asked for all the prior ones starting from 2021.
Okay, the 2021 is closed. Abi, can you answer Ms. Ogo on that?
Rep. Ogle, did you want to bring out any exhibits? Can you direct our LA and Jody for what exhibit?
Did you get-
Thank you. Ms. Gloriana, can you look at the screen and see if those numbers, and Ms. Munya, if that numbers are correct?
Can you do? For 2021, the balance pretty much at 3775. That award is in the process of closing already. And then for 2022, we pretty much have 16,244 cents left in 2022. 2023 is 103,262 and 96 cents. 2024, 203, 320.72, and 2025 is 368.125. This is our balance, not counting, they haven't deducted yet what we had paid out after this. So this amount is pretty much gonna change.
Okay. Can you repeat again for 2023, what's the numbers?
For 2023, our balance is 103,262.96.
And for 2024?
2024 is 203,320.72.
Okay, thank you. So for 2021, you guys are in the process of closing it, right?
Yes.
And you have 37,775 remaining.
Yes.
And those, when you say closing, is that the balance after, you guys?
After the
outstanding.
amount given to
All
us,
the
yes.
Does this number roll over to the next fiscal year?
No, it does not.
So you
We
yes, apparently
return,
lose it.
yes, we return it to,
37,775.
yes.
Yes, right, yeah. And for 2022, when is the closing for that again,
2022 will close August 30 of this year.
this year? And
Yes.
so far, you have 16,244.
Yes.
Can you guys still use that funding to, for, those applicants?
Depending on what it's under, if it's Like if it's categorized under professional services, folk arts program, yes, we can.
Okay, so this amount is, what is this amount that's still like open for what category?
Abik, 2022, the 16. If I'm not mistaken, the 16,208 on that one falls under training, personnel training.
And for 2023,
103,262.96.
and that's still open for applicants?
This is open.
It's
This
still
is where
ongoing?
we're gonna be paying out the artists, whatever has been uploaded to finance. It'll be subtracting over, actually, these 3 grants are open. So depending on what grant year that the accountant uploaded to finance for them to charge, it'll go into this different grant. It does not go to only 23 and then 24. All 3 grants are open, and we're trying to expand them,
Exhaust.
so
Okay.
activities are falling into those grant years.
Okay. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I have a follow-up question. So, Director, you mentioned that the 30,000 is non-lapsable. So you will be returning 30,000, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And that was, you mentioned earlier that that is for training and personnel, is that
the
correct?
16, the one on 2022, the 16,000 is, I think that's where it's under a personnel training cost.
Okay, so that's not the 30,000. Thank you for clarifying that. So we lost 30,000, but that again is a inherited fund, right? Before you guys came into office, that 30,000 was there
Yes.
already, because that was in 2021. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right.
actually, all of these grants were there before we came into office, so we're just trying to
Right.
expand them out. They've just been sitting for like 4 years.
I understand because we've done a comprehensive background analysis, and 9403 is not a law. It is an executive order that created you guys
Yes.
without the mechanisms of why we are here today. That is the bottleneck, and that is one of the problems. But we intend to fix that. Okay.
Thank you.
So on 2022 to 2025, so this spreadsheet right here, is it inclusive, the 690 balance on the bottom highlighted, is that inclusive of the 30,000 that's reflected?
No, that 30,000 is,
It's not included in the 690?
no.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned that, did you bring the list of categories that fall under CCAC for the artists to apply for your grant? Did you bring that with you?
The art disciplines?
Not the participants, but the
No.
categories that which ND National Endowment of Arts constitutes as a state art council blanket of things that they can draw under. Did you bring that with you?
So, I didn't bring with me, but I have it top
On your-
of the head, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other follow-up questions, Rep. TJ? Right, okay. Rep. Yangtamai, did you have a question? No. Recognize Rep. Julie.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So basically, my second question is answered in my first question. So I'm gonna ask now, does CCAC have written policies, standard operating procedures, and governing documents for artist registration, selection, utilization, procurement, event participation, attendance reporting, and grant administration? This committee directed production of those documents under item 3 of its March 23rd, 2026 directive.
Whatever I sent to the request, that is so that the office has. I could not find any SOP or the standard operating procedure. And so whatever was there upon the request, that is what I had provided to the House.
Thank you, Ms. Sebi.
Thank
So,
you.
In simple terms, does CCA have written rules which explain that you can't find anything, right? They explain how it makes decisions, chooses artists, pays artists, manages events, track attendance, handles procurement, and manages grant money. So there's no written rules or procedures.
I know there was no standard operating procedure, but there was rules and regulations that dated back until to the late 80s. It was never updated and so that's the one that I had forwarded to you.
So, Executive Director, what you're saying is that what you gave us is the only thing that you have.
Yes.
The policy or not the SOP, but the regulations that you're stating for the record, where did you retrieve that? Where did you find that document?
So the policies and procedure was in one of the folders in DCCA before we had moved. And I think that's the policies and procedures that the board had attempted to work on to make changes to it, but it was just a draft before,
So it's never been adopted by your board.
never adopted.
Thank you. So when you're requesting on your workflow for finance to draw down and pay these guys, are they asking you guys for a SOP
No,
or
they
a
don't.
policy?
No, they don't.
Thank you. Miss Gloriana, so how long have you been with the council?
I've been with the Arts Council for 14 years, 12 of those or 11 of those as coordinator, and going on 3 years now since I took over the directorship.
Okay, so Miss Gloriana, stating for the record that there was nothing that the board had approved in terms of policies and procedures, payment policies, et cetera, because 94.3 did not give you any did not give you any mechanisms, but that the council itself should have done its job prior to you, right? The system should have, prior to you, established rules and regulations that the Attorney General should have sought public comments and approve. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and to your knowledge, in the 14 years that you worked there, you have never seen any of these rules and regulations from the Attorney General. Is that correct?
I don't recall, at one point in time before Sodler, I did recall that we had an SOP, but I did not
Find it.
find it or read all the way to the back to see whose signatures were there.
Okay, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to continue on the workflow because Secretary Rabulaman mentioned that the workflow goes like this, and the end user, the end approver is really finance. Finance has the power to pay you or not pay you or
Yes.
put your paper on the bottom of the file list,
Yes.
which I don't think is fair. But so you were a coordinator prior to your ascension to the executive directorship. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Can you tell me then, as a project coordinator, how would you pay these people minus any of these flow charts, rules and regulations, SOPs? How are these people paid?
It still goes through finance.
So you are the project coordinator. You bring in, and this is not for you, this is the system, okay?
Yes,
Please
yes.
don't take this as a person. We have to understand how the
Yes.
system is because we want to also empower CCAC. Okay, so as a project coordinator, you take the artist registers with you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then you, as the project coordinator, see all of these wonderful things like the Flame Tree Festival, correct?
Correct.
You invite all of these practitioners and artists, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then when the event is done, they give you an invoice for services performed, correct?
Correct.
And then when the services of perform is given to you, you did not have Go Smart at that time. Is that correct?
Correct.
So when you receive the invoice, take me through. How do you get these people 14 years ago, being that you have institutional knowledge, how were these people paid? Follow the work chart. Workflow.
So when the payments come in, pretty much it goes to the director for signature. From the director, it goes up to finance. But one thing we need to understand, the J.D. Edwards Financial Services versus the Munis now, two totally different pictures. So the process back then was faster. We're talking 2 weeks, 1 month at the most. Yeah, but it still goes to the process like we're doing now. It goes to the director up to finance, and then the flow goes. But I think it's the difference now is that we're working with J.D. Edwards. I mean, we're working with Munis versus back then when we were working with J.D. Edwards.
Okay, so technically then, we're still operating 14 years ago. Because
Yes.
you don't have SOPs that were approved from your board. You don't have rules and regulations anywhere. And if it is, they're visible. Do you know what rules, where to find your rules and regulations?
I don't know where to find them. I've asked if I could look for it at the, what do you call this section here?
Archives?
Legislative Bureau Archives. I'm trying to hunt it down.
Okay. And then again, right, please, just so that you know, we're trying to understand the system because we're seeing a lot of issues between the migration of J.D. Edwards to the Munis,
yes,
right?
yes.
And we understand that we're not here to place blame on you, like I said in my opening statement. This has nothing to do with the individual, but we are now clearly establishing that if it's an inherited position, that the system just tells you basically to command you to do everything you've been doing the same way unless we have a problem like today.
And then I also want to add that back then, most of the programs and payouts were done through our local funding. So that made it way, way quicker. And for those that applied to the grant, because when I was hired, they had the grant almost a year before it was suspended. And so the processing through the grants was a little later, but around 60 days. At the most, the applicants, if it was through the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any local funding balance?
No, we don't have local funding at all, only for salary.
Okay. So that's the one that's in the budget. Everything is actually supported with the artists through the National Endowment of Arts, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any follow-up questions, Rep. Julie? One moment, please. Short recess. We're back from recess. I'd like to recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, Secretary, Director, and to your team. I just have a quick question, a follow-up question with regards to what Secretary Rubaliman mentioned. So you made mention that, I don't know if I caught this correctly, but you made mention that some of the applicants rather not paid because of the incomplete application. So just a real quick follow-up on that. Were any of the artists or the people that are before us today in the gallery, did they render services? Because it kind of sounds a little backwards, if you ask me, because they render services and then, okay, before I ask move with that question, how many artists were notified that their applications were incomplete?
The applications will not be processed if they were incomplete, so
Were
they
there-
have to be notified.
Were there any artists that rendered any services before they were notified that their applications were
So,
incomplete?
so the grant is pretty much implemented as after the fact. So in other words, it has to be approved, has to be processed and approved before you render any service. And once you render service, then you submit an invoice, and that goes through the process for getting payment. So as an example, somebody wants to do a presentation at the school for weaving or whatever that may be. They'll submit a one-page application. It goes to the executive director. If it's less than the 5,000, then she can approve it. If it's above the 5,000, then it goes to the board. But once it's deemed approved, then we reach out to the artist and say, okay, you can go ahead and proceed and conduct the presentation that you need to do. And then after that, they'll come back and submit payments. Submit the invoice plus all the evidence that they did in fact conduct the activity. That includes, sign-up sheet of the students, as well as pictures, anything to validate the event took place.
All right, thank you for that response, Secretary. So I'm assuming then that, because you clarified that all the artists that were lodging forth these complaints that, payments haven't been issued since last year, October 2025, that all these artists or performers were pretty much cleared. So it's just an issue of processing and the payments that are currently before the Department of Finance.
I'm not gonna say that everything was, before the finance. Some may be going through the process, but definitely it comes through us. We do our due diligence in reviewing, and then upload it. Once we upload it into the Munis system, then it goes through the workflow and culminates at finance for their review and eventual requests up to NEA for the drawdown. And then once the drawdown is complete, then it goes to Treasury for the payout.
Okay. So yeah, it sounds to me that we do need finance in here today, so they can give us those updates on where some of those applicants are right now and the ones that are ready to be paid. What's the delay? If I'm assuming that the director and yourself already signed off on these for payment, and the processing has been complete for most of them at least, that we need finance to clarify these questions for us. So with that said, I have a few more questions, but it's still going to lead back to whether or not or finance that needs to be here today. So I'll just yield for now, Madam Chair, and then but thank you for the responses.
Thank you, Rep. Julie. Let me recognize Rep. TJ, and then I'll recognize you after. Rep. TJ?
Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you everyone for being here today. Just a couple of background questions about the grant. So this money goes directly toward community events and artists, correct? Or is it just specifically for artists projects?
It's majority of it is for artists, yes. So community events, depending on how big or how, when the request comes in. But majority of this funding is for artists.
Okay, and do you guys put out like a public notice, or how are artists informed of the opportunity to avail of these funding?
Okay, so the ones prior to that, mostly by phone call. The recent one, like 24, we just made the announcement through KKMP announcement.
So do you have like a listing that you guys keep of registered artists that you guys have on file, and that's what you work off?
Yes.
but technically anyone can apply if they are a registered artist. Is that
If
correct?
they are artists and have not registered yet, they're encouraged to come in and register.
Okay, because I think this is an amazing opportunity, and I think that there's a lot of talented local artists out there, and
Yes.
maybe the information isn't out there for them to avail of that. And maybe a
Yes.
suggestion that I might have is maybe putting it out on social media. There's a lot of young artists that are up and coming, and
Correct.
you know, if we're having an issue, maybe using the funding in a timely manner, maybe that would help. And then, just from what I've been hearing, again, I know that this is not an opportunity for us to point fingers, and I think it's more just a systemic issue, right? You're saying that you haven't had like any sort of regulations updated since the 80s, right? And then you guys are trying to manage everything that you're doing, and then also working with finance and everything that they're trying to manage. And I don't think this is just an issue with you guys. I think this is an issue throughout our whole government, and something that we need to work more collaboratively together to fix these systemic issues, right? And I think a lot of it just stems from communication. And I think we can fix a lot of these frustrations if there's communication, more communication. I think maybe the frustration from the artist side is not necessarily getting that communication right away, not understanding the whole situation. And I'm just thankful that we're having this forum now to discuss this, and instead of blaming each other, finding ways that we can fix it. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you guys, and I hope that, you know, sometimes we have to get to these situations in order to fix it. But I think moving forward, we can create a much better process, and working with the legislature, we can work on our end, you know, to help create those processes and those legislation to help move things forward. So I just want to thank you guys again for your time, and also just keep that open communication with us, so that we know what's going on, so that way we can also step in and help where we can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. TJ. Recognize Rep. Ogle.
Thank you, Chair. So when it comes to money tracking, how does CCA separate federal NEA grant funds from local funds?
I don't think we need to track because we have zero funding on local. It's just NEA funding.
On operations.
On,
Okay, so you keep them separate, right? Always.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Rep. Julie, I'm just gonna, I'd like to, for the record, recognize both Ms. Camacho and Ms. Cepeda from Finance for graciously accepting our invitation to appear, so that we have a better understanding of the workflow, and possibly try to come to some resolution and some timelines. So thank you. Thank you both for coming. Once again, this is not a adversarial meeting. This is a meeting for the committee to understand the struggles that CCAC is having when we're trying to pay artists based on the state art council responsibility, which is Arts Council. So thank you for coming. Rep. Julie, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So my other question is, what documents prove CCAC followed NEA compensation requirements? So what that means is, for every payment made using NEA money, what paperwork shows that the payment was allowed, properly approved, properly calculated, and paid to the correct person or vendor?
So if an artist is invited to the school, we have them do, public school system does a request for us, and we attach that request letter for that particular artist or any artist going out to school, along with photos and sign-in sheet. So we've encountered where the artists came and they did not do sign-in sheet during their time at the school, but we based it on photos, the pictures of when they did the project.
May I add to that? If I'm hearing your question right, you ask if there what documents are there to prove that we are in line with NEA. So before any drawdown happens, all of these documents are uploaded for review by the NEA. So that should, they won't allow any drawdowns if these documents are not all aligned.
So, before submitting to NEA for review, it goes through arts coordinator to review it? And then?
Yes, it goes to Arts Council, and then we upload it to Finance, and Finance is the one that sends it to NEA.
Let's say you approved it today, right? You forward it to finance? How long does it usually take before, I guess, the actual printed checks come out?
Depending on the flow at Finance, because it goes to other people before it goes back to the federal side, correct me, Sin, if I'm correct. So I think it's from us over to the payables. Sin, stop me anytime. If over to the payables, and then payables to the Director of Financial Services for approval, then to you guys? Payables, back to payables? Okay, so can you share and clarify?
Can you introduce yourself for the record and what position or what department under finance that you're at? Thank you so much.
Good morning. Sorry for the way I'm dressed. I still have no power at home. My name is Cynthia Camacho, and I work for a federal section of finance. I handle arts. So back to the process. Arts uploads, goes to payables for screening, comes to me for approvals, goes to my supervisor Agnes, and goes to Director Bernie. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho. Rep. Ogle, you still have the floor. Short recess. Not back from recess.
Thank you, Chair. So
Rep.
I-
Ogle, you still have the floor.
Thank you. So I understand that we jumped to the finances, as far as tracking the request for, payouts. So, Gloriana, how many pending 5K applications on your desk right now that you have not reviewed?
I only have, the NMD, I'm sorry, NMD and the Women's Month are out. I think there's about 22 that I have not reviewed.
So you submitted to, you send us an updated list as of April 10.
Yes.
Can you go to the bottom if it shows how many are pending that are, it says, I'm sorry, can you go up again? Where it says, submission date, this is the submit, if you're looking at the screen up there, or there in front of you?
Yes.
Says submission date, right? Mm-hmm. And then the first one we see is January 21st, 2026. And so review starts date, none. Have you reviewed that application? It seems like it's,
Yes, I have. This guy have been paid it. I think what you're getting is from the Go Smart. And so the Go Smart, Lucille does not update it until we give her the master list of the payment that the artist has already been paid. Then she would go into the Go Smart and go to the artists that have been paid and put the date of their.
so you're saying you only have how many pending of the 5K and below right now?
I think there's 22 if I'm not mistaken.
The last time I was at your office, it was almost over 100. So you were able to go through all that.
I cannot tell you because, like I said, based on this, I can look at the names and tell you who I've reviewed already. But this listing that was printed out from our GoSmart, she does not update it until the artists are paid already.
So the ones that you approve, let's say up to, when's the last time you had something reviewed and approved for submission for payout?
Just
45
last
days.
week.
Just last week.
week.
So let's
Yeah.
say you approve that today, a 5K and below applicant. You forward it to finance?
We'll forward it to finance, and then we'll wait until the master list. Abby goes in and prints out the master list when they get paid. Then that's when Lucille will go into the GoSmart portal and update and reduce on the numbers of who's been assisted or paid already.
And how long does that process usually take before it goes to finance?
Before it
From
goes
the
to
day
finance,
that it's submitted to finance. What's your average time frame getting it to finance when you review 5K and below?
like if I review it and I sign it off today, then I'll be to upload the next day or even the same day.
And so are there any pending 5K and below that you have not reviewed yet that's been submitted from?
No submission to finance yet because we had training with them last April for, I think that was April 10, we had training with them for 2 hours that Arts Council is gonna be taking back the drawdown requests. So when moving forward, when the grants come in, we'll upload it to finance for approval, correct, Minang? From payables and the federal grants and the director. Then instead of staying with finance for them to upload to the grantors, it'll then come back to Arts Council and we will be the one to request for the drawdown. This is the new.
Okay, so why are these artists that not, are complaining to us? Those that are, a lot of them are 5K and below. Where's the holdup?
Hold up would be if they go, if the artists know that their payments is already at finance, then all they're waiting for now is to go through the process and for the drawdown. But right now, we don't do the drawdown. This is the new program, or moving forward with the program, we're gonna be doing the drawdown. In fact, today I called Miss Cindy and I asked her if we can sit down with her this afternoon to upload those payments that's at Treasury right now because it needs to a drawdown to be requested. And the day we went training, I was telling her it's not enough for us to go through that process to request. So she's agreed that we're gonna go meet her today at 1:00, and she's gonna assist us. She's gonna help us to do the request for a drawdown for all those 38 payments that are at Treasury right now.
Okay, can you tell me right now, what is the oldest applications that still you haven't reviewed?
I wouldn't know unless I go into the GoSmart, but I don't think we have an application that's like a year or two.
So you're saying that majority of those applicants that are being awarded last year, let's say up to December, has been paid out already?
No, I will not say they have been paid out. So, for example, like Miss Rowe, they did projects November, December, and even in January. I went to some of them. Like she said earlier, it was getting locked out with that one domain. All the artist applications was going to one domain. That has been resolved already as of March. I'm only looking at her number. The number she gave is way higher than what I have. But it's something I'm gonna look into. But right now, it's NMD that's on the hold that had projects from November and December. Some went through, and some are. I have 24 with me that it needs now to be uploaded. It's been approved to be uploaded for payment.
So that's the one that's pending for payout right now?
Correct.
About 24?
24 and 19 from Women's Month.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
because-
aside from that organization submission, any other individual artists that are still pending from last year?
Not to my knowledge.
Would you be able to provide this body that information, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Chair.
Thank you, Rep. Ogo. And I have some follow-up questions real quick. Secretary Rebolaman, how many active members do you have on your board?
4.
I just learned that there are 4.
4. Okay, so tell me whether or not these individuals are still active. Julie Duenas,
Very
representing Saipan female.
Very active.
Okay, Benjamin Babolta, Saipan,
No.
He resigned.
resign. So you have 1 vacant so far. Arsene M. Borja,
Very active.
Tinian. Estrelita Shafarus, Rhoda.
Active.
Okay. Luis Tilapau, Carolinian,
Inactive.
No.
Resigned.
resign. Amalia Pangilinan, Saipan.
Active.
Active.
Emma Perez,
Resigned.
resign. So you have 3 vacancies, is that correct?
Correct.
And you still have enough for the board to approve pending over 5,000
Quorum.
invoices, is that correct?
We do have quorum.
You do have quorum, okay. So I'm just gonna follow up with what Rep. Julie had mentioned. Okay, so Secretary Rebolaman, you mentioned earlier that back in 2010, is that correct? That this particular grant was suspended for mismanagement and misspending and reinstated in 2018 with no personnel funding allowed, is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm not too sure about the dates, but
Okay.
yeah, this grant was suspended.
For mismanagement and
Exact-
misspending?
Exactly.
Okay, but you can't confirm whether or not the year is 2010, is that
Yeah,
correct?
I can't
Okay.
confirm that.
Ms. Camacho, would we be able to find that in finance? What year that particular grant was suspended due to citations under the federal, I guess, CFR for misspending and mismanagement?
Yes,
Okay, and so I'm assuming that because that was prior to 2026, you can extract that through Munis, is that correct?
it could be in
I'm
JD.
sorry, JD Edwards?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. So we have not transitioned from JD Edwards all the way to Munis for CCAC, is that correct?
No, that's only for the legacy accounts. So the new grants that they have right now, they're in Munis.
Okay, but how many legacy accounts do you have? For
arts,
CCAC, yes.
I need to check my records, but we have legacy accounts in Munis.
Okay, I guess the committee would address that at a later date, no? We'll probably seek information regarding that legacy account so that we know exactly timelines, because we need to fix that moving forward, and that's why we're here. Thank you. So, Executive Director, you mentioned that 5,000 and under is approved by you alone, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. and 5,000 and above is reviewed and approved by the board. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how many times does the board meet in any given year?
It's 4 times a year, but lately we've been calling special meetings because of the number of grant applications that we received that are above 5,000.
Okay, and how many special meetings have you had so far?
4.
4. Okay. And are those published anywhere? Do you guys have
Mariana's
minutes?
Variety, yes.
Have
I cannot say if there's minutes prior to Miss Emma's time because she took notes and she left and she did not give us, but I have the ones that were conducted.
okay, because
Right.
I'm just talking about Ms. Gloriana, just the recent ones that you've held so far.
Yes.
That need to be paid right now. So you have minutes, and those minutes were adopted by your board. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So for the record, we're gonna ask you to furnish those minutes and give it to this body. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then, DCCA secretary is the expenditure authority. But when do you get involved as executive director? When there's no quorum? I'm sorry, secretary. Because you're the final, right? Do you just kind of look at it and then say, okay, everything's good, pay it? How does it work?
Essentially,
Essentially?
yeah.
Okay. But you really don't have to do it, right? It's just a practice that has been done since 1985?
I look at it as a formality.
Okay. Just to double check that there's a check and
Yes,
balance.
yes.
So,
And I was heavily involved when the board was not organized, and to the point where I even what do you call this, modified or simplified rather the word, the application form for the artists. So and provided guidelines and strengthened the guidelines for submitting an application form. But after the board was organized, then I removed myself and just been doing the approval.
okay. So now that the board is organized and you quorum every time, there's no need for you to actually look at these approved invoices. Is that correct?
I essentially, yeah.
Okay. So technically in the workflow, you don't even have to approve it because your board already approved to pay. Is that correct?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay, so we can establish that you as a secretary, but minus any SOPs and any regulations that the board has neither adopted or submitted, the executive director really doesn't have to be included in the workflow, right?
No,
The secretary.
I'm sorry, the secretary, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
There's so, 94.3 created so many admin levels that you just get so confused. And this is why we're having this discussion now. Okay, so technically we can remove if and when, and I'm hopefully soon, the board establishes regulations and SOPs so that you can actually eliminate the executive director from the workflow, correct? I'm sorry, the secretary. The secretary. Eliminate the secretary from the workflow, correct? Gotcha.
Correct.
All right. So major events that island-wide that we have on record that's very active is the Flame Tree, Art in the Park, Content Isla, Pika Festival, Guput Gilitai. Are there any grant funds used through the executive director for the executive director's discretion without the secretary? Ms. Gloria, do you have freedom to use any funds?
I still communicate with him in whatever funds I'm gonna use regardless whether he signs off or not.
Okay. We're going to get to, I think Rep. Ogo has a question on conflict of interest, but we're not going to address that now. We're going to wait further down. So the payment workflow is, tell me again, Executive Director, what is the payment workflow?
The payment workflow is once we get all our applications and what do you call those payment forms together, then it's uploaded to finance.
Okay, so it doesn't, it goes to you.
Then the accountant uploads it to finance.
Okay, so it goes to you, then you upload to Munis, then finance is here, would approve the drawdown request, and then finance gives it to the grantor for approval. And then once finance payables receives the grantor approval, then it flags in Munis the treasury to print the check and pay it out. Is that correct?
Ms. Sin?
Is it correct? Yeah. Ms. Sin, or either one of you, can you please, for the record, acknowledge a yes or no so that it is on record?
After the department uploads the invoices in Munis, it goes to their approval process, and it goes to Secretary Robalman because he's the spending authority. Then it comes to us for certification of funds, and then once it's approved, the last approver approves it, it's posted to Munis, and that's when the drawdown occurs.
Okay.
When it's still out for approval, pending approval, the final approval, we can't draw it until it's posted into Munis.
Gotcha. So that's why you need the secretary, because he's the
Yeah, because
expenditure
it's the
authority.
spending authority.
Got it. But 94.3 does not, that's separate because Arts Council is the state art council. Does that still acknowledge him as the expenditure authority based on your legendary records? Has all secretaries signed off on every invoices from the moment 94.3 was enacted by the executive order? From what you know, ma'am, from the history, legendary and legends would proclaim that the secretary has always signed off on payments.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other follow-up questions? Rep. Ogle.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, Gloriana, going back to the money tracking question. When I asked, how do you guys track, utilizing the NEA grant and local funds? So there was a question that I asked you a few months ago when you send down some artists for the
Correct.
Gazeta, right? And first of all, can artists apply to participate in events like that?
Now they can.
Not when I asked you then, they weren't able to?
They weren't. It's just recently that I went into NEA and I requested if we can change our project form to include artist travel,
Okay,
because it was never included.
okay. So
in
was
the
that the
past.
reason why you use local funds, right? To send those artists down to pay, you paid their stipend, their travel?
That was done
did that come
through
from?
NEA. We don't have local funding.
Okay, so you use the funding for that to send them?
Yes.
So if we reverse that, can you send us the artists from here to participate in the Flame Tree festivals?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I first went in and requested through the grantors to include in all the opening, because it's part of our strategic plan to promote artists and have them participate. When I first did it, I only include Saipan going to Tinian and Rhoda, and I did not include Rhoda and Tinian coming to Saipan. So I went back and requested that it's vice versa. So it's been
And
approved.
that's how it should be, okay.
May I just add something? So, a lot of these practices, we had to request NEA for us to, not only paying the artists to travel, but also having NEA pay for full-time FTEs. So, again, in the context of making sure that whatever we do, we run it by our NEA. Otherwise, we're going to be deemed, mismanaging or whatever, misspending. So yes, there is finger pointing that needs to happen, but there also needs to be back patting because we're trying as much as possible to get more flexibility in the use of this grant, right? So, like I said earlier, this grant never used to pay personnel. That blew me away. I had to reach out to the grantor and say, what's going on? How do you expect us to manage to implement this program without you forking up part of the grant money for personnel? So that was allowed, and then now we're hearing about travel.
Thank you. So Gloriana, I asked this question too is, how do you select, let's say for example, how do you select artists, to participate in those events? Is it random, or you reach out to, is there a forum or something like that you ask them to participate? Let's say for example, a dance group, right? Our cultural dance group. Do you send out like a notification to your artists that, hey, Galita Festival is requesting a dance, cultural dance performance? Do you, is that a random selection, or how do you select which group will go?
So on this one, the first trip to Tinian, I had spoken with Mayor Audon, and I was sharing my excitement that we can actually bring artists. So he requested for a band with a group of Chamorro and Carolinian dancers. I was the one that made that selection of band. I did not make any announcement. That was our trial. And then when we got to Tinian, Mayor of Rhoda said she wanted the same, and I was like, we cannot. It was supposed to be Congresswoman on a rotational basis. So you go on this trip, you go on that trip, and we try to accommodate everybody, but it did not turn out that way. Mayor of Rhoda wanted the same theme that was at the Pika Festival. And I told her that, no, I was sending her another group. And when my secretary went down to Rhoda, she spoke to him again that she wanted what we had in Tinian to happen in Rhoda. So there was no selection or formal announcement. We just tried it out, how it's going to work, and then moving forward, like you said, when we spoke, make the announcement and see who's going to be selected.
Thank you. And also, I just wanted, so with that trip, you guys use an NEA funds, right?
Correct.
To pay for their airfare, correct?
Correct.
Their lodging
Correct.
and stipend, correct?
Correct. No, the
So-
stipend is for their lodging and food.
Okay,
Yes.
it's included.
Was
Yes.
an MBA involved?
MBA, I had asked them if they can pay their professional services.
And the professional service, which is their performance?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask also is you inform the municipality of Rhoda, the mayor, and Tinian to pay for their performance. So if you already paid their professional services, why are you reaching out to them, asking them to pay out of pocket again to pay for that performance?
We did not pay for their professional services. Like for Tinian, we paid for their ticket and their payment for their room and board. And then I had asked MVA if they can sponsor their professional services.
That's where we're, the federal money is there to, help our local, as far as funding is concerned.
Correct.
To utilize the federals before the local fundings. But you're asking them to pay out of their local funds, which NEA can pay, correct?
Yes, NEA could have paid had I requested along with their travel, but I did not request their professional services payment when I had requested for the travel.
Wow. Follow-up question, Chair? Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm going to have to ask a follow-up, Executive Director. Why wasn't it included?
I didn't think about including the professional services fee. I was thinking more of collaborating with MVA, that we were gonna cover the invitation. We were invited by MVA. And so I think in the excitement of going, I just said, okay, can we do the ticket and the per diem, and then you do the professional services fee? It was more of that
Yeah.
collaboration, but after Congresswoman Julia and I spoke, so moving forward, now when if we have to request to the grantors to cover, everything.
Okay. And that makes sense, right? Because you're just trying it out. And then you don't have also, right? You inherited this position. You don't have your rules and regulations. You have no policies, procedure. You're kind of just working to help everybody because the system is just there and it allows you to do that, right?
And my thinking at that time was because it's the first time to request for travel, I didn't want to make it very plenty where they might deny it.
Okay, so then here's my question. So then they will not be paid or compensated for the travel?
Who?
The artists through the grant?
Yes.
will be?
They will be, because after I went back and verified, and they said, as long as you include. And so I'm finding out from the grantors that it's just a matter of asking. And we never asked in the past.
Okay, thank you for that. So the federal government identified the State Arts Council. Therefore, we had 94.3 that created the Arts Council and put it under DCCA. I'm not sure why they did that, because I think that they have some autonomy because it's the state art agency. I don't know why it's under DCCA. So you mentioned something about this board meeting, no? And you said special. Do you have bylaws for your board meetings? You do?
Not an updated one.
When
but
was the
there
last time
is-
your board bylaws were updated?
They haven't. In the meetings, it was discussed for them to update the bylaws, but it didn't pull through. So from 7 down to 4, and they have not been able to update the bylaws.
And so what is 7 through 4? Do you know that off the top of your head? Items 7 through 4 in your bylaws?
No, I'm saying from 7 board members
Oh, to 4.
down to the 4 members. And it was, when they first got together, it was more of like a lot to do with grant applications. And it was on their list for the meeting, but it did not happen.
Okay, so because you don't have board bylaws, council, if they don't have board bylaws, but they have a board quorum, and the executive director said that that's what I heard, unless I heard it wrong, there's no updated bylaws. So how do they have action? You can't have meeting without bylaws that tell you how to act or how to perform, because the Robert Rules of Order is very clear.
Updated, yeah.
Do you have an attorney on your council?
Is it still Tom? Is it still Tom? Tom.
And the reason why I'm asking, right, is because it's for your protection,
Correct.
okay? And minus any of that, it's a big liability. Now we have the artists coming over here asking us to pay them when there's no established mechanism to pay these guys, let alone a mechanism, and I'm sorry now because I'm really just gonna probably go off the top, but now no mechanism for civil litigation to sue. They don't have that opportunity to.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
I believe there is a bylaw. There are bylaws. It just needs to be updated.
Okay, so you have bylaws, okay, when was the last time it was updated then?
That I don't know.
So do you have an attorney that is present with you guys at your council meetings, yes or no?
No.
No.
So who conducts your meetings? Your
Just,
chairperson?
yes.
Who takes minutes? Do
I
you have a
take many.
secretary?
No. It was the acting chair now. She was the board secretary, and then
So, because you're the state agency council, can you check on this? Is it in the grant that because they have a board, right? They should have a vice chair, a secretary, and a treasurer because they are dealing with federal grants. So we're gonna check. So who takes your minutes?
I would take the minutes during the meetings.
Okay, but so far you had 4 special meetings.
Yes.
You took the minutes.
In two.
What do you
Two
mean?
of the minutes.
Okay,
Two
so
of
you
the
took
meetings.
2 of the minutes.
Yes.
But you can find the other 2.
I think I can
Okay.
find it. Yes.
Executive director, I think that's going to be crucial, no? Because this is why we're here. Now we understand what's the problem.
Yes.
It's really not your fault. It's not their fault. It's surely not our fault. It is definitely not the artist's fault. The grant is there for them to use,
Correct.
to preserve, place awareness, conduct themselves, to spread, protect, and have people know about our arts, culture, heritage, tradition, etc. And because we don't have all of these documents and regulations from 94.3 that created you guys, the council, not DCCA, the council, we have been just breezing through. And then it has also caused a major concern because you don't even have conflict of interest protections. I can actually, if your first cousin, so let me ask this question, because now this is important. And Secretary, I really think that right now you need to get your board organized and send them a letter that they need to organize. They must have all of the requirements based on the grant, because at some point you cannot be there. You are the secretary. Yes, you are the expenditure authority, and and that's on the local side. But the national side is another different thing. We need to go back and study this because you have a board, you don't have a vice chair, you don't have a secretary, the executive director's taking minutes as a cordial gesture. Because technically, ma'am, that is not your job.
Thank you. But I just wanted to clarify that when they first formed, they had these officers.
Right.
Somewhere down the line of the meeting, it changed, and now they're down to 4. The former secretary is now the acting vice chair, and then the 3 are just members.
Right.
So I cannot, that's the minutes that I need to find that when did the changes take place in those previous board meetings.
So what you're saying is you might have those minutes that identified your board's positions, secretary,
Correct.
treasurer, because technically the treasurer is really supposed to sign off on those things.
Correct.
Not the executive director, I don't think so.
This was during
I mean, I'm
Emma's
sorry,
time.
the secretary.
It was during Emma's
so
time that they voted for. We voted for officers when Luis was the chairman, and then when he found out that he cannot apply for grants as an artist, he resigned.
Right.
So Emma came in and took over, and that's where they did the changes on the officers. Those are the minutes that I need to find.
Okay. So I'm just curious now. Finance, because they don't have bylaws, they don't have anything. How do you pay? How do you ask? And this is going to be the last question before we break because it's lunchtime and I know I had asked nicely for finance to come here. But if you can answer this question, because this is another bottleneck. If you are part of the local, internal control, and the grantor has all of these requirements, the council has no, unless in your record you have it, no existing officers with the treasurer to sign off because it is a grant that would require that. I've worked with grants before. How do you then pay them? Do you audit them also on the payment request? Or is the assumption that they already have all of these safeguards, therefore you pay them? Does it work that way? I'm just curious. Because if that is the bottleneck, then we need to fix it. These guys need to organize immediately so that payments can funnel through before we lose any more grants. Or we lose the grant because we're not in compliance. Does that happen, Ms. Camacho?
Well, in the payment process, like after they upload, like I said, we're gonna go back. It goes to our payables that screens everything from attachment, and then it goes to me, and I do the same thing. Check if there's funding, receipts, whatever, to support the payment. That's
Okay.
where and then it goes to my supervisor. That's like the third, and then the director, and then
Okay.
it's requested for payment.
All right, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm going to ask that, oh, sorry, Rep. Ogo, I guess, has one more question. We'll take that, and then I'll take back the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Gloriana, going back to those cultural dancers, I know for a fact that the mayor didn't pay for their professional services. Did they get paid for that?
Yes.
Under NEA?
No, not under, not, oh, you're talking about the one in Rhoda?
Yeah. That's
Yes,
example.
they had applied.
So they're going to be paid through the
The NEA.
request through the application. NEA
Correct.
application. And that's still pending, or?
They submitted an application without an invoice. We're waiting on that.
Without an invoice?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much did they, how many hours did they perform?
1 hour and a half on one night and 1 hour on the other night.
And that's 10 groups, or, I'm sorry, performing group dancers, $600 per hour. So you paid them 600 plus 300, so $900?
No. They charge that flat rate for the 2 days because of the fact that their tickets are paid for and whatnot.
What is
So-
the amount?
Huh?
What is the amount?
600.
600, so
Correct.
just the 1 hour.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Ogo. At this time, it's lunchtime, and I've had all of you guys here. It's unfortunate we started at 10. I assume if we
I
started,
apologize.
that's okay. Everybody's got all kinds of stuff. We're still kind of rebuilding and trying to recover through the typhoon. But I'm going to ask that we recess, but I ask this committee to reconvene, and those that have been asked to be present to please come back at, I cannot keep you outside, 12:46, 1 hour for your lunch, and please reconvene, come back here, because we're going to try to tackle this down by 1 o'clock. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I said everybody. Sorry, and I know that I cordially asked you guys on finance, but we did send you a letter, and we did address it to the secretary. However, this is a hearing that has to do with the executive branch and trying to fix this problem that has to do with outstanding vendor payments, and you are part of the workflow. So if there was any questions that need to be directed, you need to be present. So Ms. Camacho and team, I really apologize, but I'd like to recess, but let's reconvene in 1 hour, 11:47. Thank you. Short recess. Thank you, and thank you guys for coming back. I know the lunch was really short, but today we're really, really pressed on time. We've got competing schedules with a lot of other agencies. A lot of government entities, and some of them are tailored towards the budget. But when we went on recess, we're now back in session. I would like to recognize Rep. Ogle.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you again, members of the councils for your participation, and finance to be here also. I know that we only have a few minutes, so I'm just gonna ask the question. Would you be able to provide this body a list of invoices that are sitting with finance before the end of the day for payouts?
Right now, I don't think they'll be the ones to tell me if there's still invoices, because the ones that are at Treasury, I'm thinking those are those the last batch out from you guys, Sim? So Treasury has about 38 artists and like 4 vendors. But what Ms. Julie's asking is, do we still have invoices that are up for payment on your end? Because right now, the ones we have in office are just the NMD pageant and the Women's Month, and the artist is applying for over 5,000.
So we would like to have that list of invoices pending for payment.
Okay, so I can provide that with you before the end of the day,
Okay,
yes.
thank
It's
you.
still with us.
Please forward it to City Chairwoman Marisa. on
Okay.
that. Thank you.
So thank you, Executive Director, and Ms. Judy, you can correct me. What you had asked Executive Director Gloriana was to produce the invoices that are still pending from GoSmart, from Arts Council. That's number one. So Arts Council must furnish all of the pending pending invoices
And
in
applications?
yes, and applications.
Yes.
Number two, I think payables. See, Ms. Camacho, if you can furnish what you have as pending for payment and its current status, no? If you can go far back from 2022 forward, so we have a consolidated list of who is still pending to be paid. Because I know that Gloriana's list is not going to be the same as yours, but I need to see both so that we have a better understanding of who needs to be paid, how much in consolidated lapse funds will be used, and if it does not match, we need that. But that will come from Ms. Camacho and her team at Payables. Ms. Gloriana, I would like to also see for the record, as based on the request from Rep. Ogle, all of the invoices pending on your end.
Correct.
Okay? And we'll follow the year 2022 to present. Okay? Okay, one more. So I would like to have that. If you cannot furnish it to me at the end of the day as requested by Rep. Ogle, I will ask that that be in your custody when we recess for Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay? And last question for Rep. Ogle.
Okay, I know you mentioned to finance to produce that request dating back to 2021. If it's to an extent of a request to be able to produce by today, end of the day or Friday, we would like to see the list that Gloriana has mentioned last week in the media. We would like to see that payouts, list of payouts. Thank you.
If I may, I have a list.
Recognize.
I printed over lunch what we have in the system that's ready for submission.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho. Can you please furnish that for the record, Sarch? And then we're going to go ahead and put that as this committee's submission from finance so that we can reconcile and continue to do our analytics.
Yeah, payroll, not necessarily.
Ma'am, recognized.
Is it only for vendor, or do you want to see the payroll stuff and other charges?
Everything that we have, no, that we're talking about,
It's expense to the grant, that's it.
correct. Because
That shouldn't be a problem.
right, because local funds is separate from the vendor payments, right? we'll concentrate on local funds for payroll. That's a ways and means issue. So two things need to happen. Ms. Gloriana, you understand what we're asking you to produce for Wednesday at 1 o'clock,
Yes.
correct? We have now received custody from the Payables Division handling CCAC's grant, and that will be for the record. We will share that when we furnish copies and when we have our follow-up questions for 1 o'clock. At this time, I'd like to Ms. Camacho, did you want to say something? Okay. At this time, I would like to ask that I get a motion to reconvene Wednesday at 1 o'clock with the same audience that is now sitting here, and to include Secretary Rubolaman if he is available. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask Ms. Sin if, since it's looking like we're gonna be dismissed early today, if we can go back to your office and you assist us with the drawdown?
Again, that would be for you two to handle. This committee is only going to handle committee issues based on the agenda. Ms. Gloriana and Ms. Camacho, you might want to take that conversation outside. Make sure that whatever needs to happen, happens, and it is your responsibility. It would be great if you can document what happened, because this body will probably ask you on Wednesday what happened when you left here, to ensure that the vendors that need to be paid will be paid. Okay, so can I get a motion to recess Wednesday at 1 o'clock with the same audience? Can I get a second? Thank you. We are on recess till Wednesday, this Wednesday, June 11? Tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday? Oh, gosh. Okay. Can I, Ms. Claire, can you please call the vote for simple? Oh, all in favor, say aye. Tomorrow's Wednesday, or 11. Can I get all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. This committee meeting is on recess for tomorrow, 1 o'clock, and the audience is expected to bring in the evidence as requested by Rep. Ogle and myself. Thank you. Recess till 1 o'clock Wednesday tomorrow.